Hello and welcome back to a new vlog. Today we're heading over the Severn Bridge to beautiful Cardiff to have a look around an antique shop and also have a wander around the city itself. We've come to the pumping room to the west of Cardiff, which is a Grade 2 listed beautiful building with about 45 independent traders inside. So let's go and have a look.
Charles II.
Carolean furniture is some of the most charming antique furniture on the market. Robust, well made and attractive. It oozes history and it can be surprisingly affordable. This piece was £600, which is not bad for something that's 300 years old. Georgian toilet mirror. I have to say that's quite cute. This Edwardian piece is really pretty and it's only £295. Quite a sweet little basket. In this cabinet we had a Wedgwood majolica plate, a mid-19th century tureen and a trio of Worcester cups, and the gilt looked pretty good condition considering it was made in 1790. In the corner of this room, I spotted some coronation cups and mugs. I'm looking for a particular set for Queen Mary. I had a look at this one, but it isn't the one I would like to buy. They certainly have enough porcelain and glassware here. I did spot this little Regency creamer, which is quite similar to one I already have. In amongst the porcelain was this lovely Wedgwood vase, only £5, and actually this was one of my mum's favourite Wedgwood designs, so it's sort of like a happy sad moment to see that here. Plenty of Welsh porcelain and willow patterns. I did quite like these pair of vases. I'm looking for a couple of blue vases for the chateau, but I really need to have a good look around because they are quite expensive. So on we went upstairs where there's more furniture, more antiques, plenty of items for sale up here. I did like some of the pictures. I really probably need to come back here at some point. I also love this doll's house. Even though my children are grown up, I do think a doll's house is a lovely item to own. Here you can see a good view of the roof and it looks like they're having some restoration done. A building like this must take an awful lot of upkeep. There was a side exit, so I went to have a little look through and realised there was a whole side building that I hadn't even been in yet. I saw some antique furniture that I definitely wanted to go and have a look at. I just needed to figure a way to actually get down. It's actually much larger space down here than it looks from upstairs. It seems that they have a lot of larger furniture down here, lots of Welsh dressers, so I went to have a look at those. This was a particularly nice one. It's from around 1850 to 1870 and costs £1,500. The porcelain on display here, this willow pattern, wasn't actually for sale. It was just to showcase the Welsh dresser, and it does look really lovely together. Solid wood with brass handles and a willow pattern. What more could you want? I did like this stand, charmingly called a whatnot stand. I'm looking for something to put plants on. I think this is probably a little bit small. This is also a very pretty stand. Would look really nice in a bathroom, I think. I like this porcelain cup because the interior colour is sort of like a Tiffany blue. There were plenty of tables laden with porcelain. I did spot a little plate which had Mary on. I really would like to get a Mary plate and cup set. It was only £2, but it isn't the one I'm looking for. And then in the corner, I saw this really interesting collection. If anybody knows anything more about how it's made or what it is, please let me know in the comments. Plenty more coronation mugs of different eras. Plenty of willow pattern and beautiful dressers. This is a Victorian mahogany dresser. Quite austere, but certainly very well priced at £3.95 for solid mahogany. I loved this Edwardian display cabinet. I thought it was so elegant, but I've only just bought a display cabinet, so I thought that would probably be a little bit extreme to purchase another one within the same month. So that's also £3.95, and again, I just think such a beautiful item for really less than it would cost for a modern day piece. I really loved this Welsh dresser. I thought it was so beautiful with its shelves and its carvings. It wasn't the cheapest, it was £1,495, but it is solid oak, and I think it would look so nice. Here I am trying to convince my husband that I need a Welsh dresser in my life, but I'm not sure that he was convinced. But if I was buying a cottage in Wales or a small farmhouse, then it would definitely be coming home with me. There were so many lovely items. I really was quite spoilt with it all. And I think we should really try and make the effort to come back here before the big move to France. Here is another dresser, and it looks more modern. It's a pine dresser, but it's still lovely. If you prefer a lighter wood, I think this would look great in a kitchen. And again, the blue porcelain just shows off the wood so nicely. It really is one of my favourite aesthetics. There's also a whole floor downstairs with a cafe and some outdoor furniture too, but we had to go to the Cardiff station and pick up our daughter, so we had to cut our visit short. And my husband was already hurrying me back down to the car, and I didn't really get a chance to check out some of the outdoor antiques. I thought this was actually a really lovely sundial, but I will hopefully be back to this beautiful place by antiques. As it turned out, our daughter was on a later train, so we had time for a spot of lunch before having a very quick look around Cardiff. We went to a vegetarian curry restaurant. Well, it's not vegetarian, but we chose vegetarian food. A little bit of healthy food before a walk around sunny Cardiff in the spring. It was lovely to see all the Welsh flags out on the way up to the castle. The guy in front of us had a huge mic, and it made us both chuckle because I've had a couple of comments on here about buying a mic, which I now have. However, that mic was definitely a little on the large side. So Cardiff Castle has nearly 2,000 years of history, from a Roman fort through to the Normans with their castle, and then more modern Victorian interiors. The Normans built this Motte and Bailey castle, which anybody who studied history will recognise. It looked pretty marvellous today in the spring sunshine with the daffodils covering the banks. It doesn't really get much more Welsh than a hillside covered with the national flower of Wales, the daffodil. The Normans actually built their castle on top of a 3rd century Roman fort. The castle is surrounded by green parkland that look particularly lovely in the spring sunshine. It had beautiful magnolia trees, which really was a pleasure to walk under. There were plenty of families out today enjoying the lovely weather, which I think is probably the nicest weekend we've had in a while. These daffodils look particularly lovely with their nodding heads. Here you can see Butte Park behind the castle and these standing stones, although they are not original, they are from the 70s. And that was the castle. Hopefully next time we'll get a chance to go in. I always like to try and buy a fridge magnet wherever I go, so I picked out this one with a happy sheep. We had a walk down an indoor arcade, and I spotted a shop I would like to go into. It was a fossil shop. Here are some Welsh trilobites. They look really lovely. They were quite expensive, but it was absolutely lovely shop, and it was almost like a museum, really. This is my thing. I'm actually a geologist. That was what my degree and my masters were in, and I worked for quite a long time as a geologist. So I really could have bought the whole shop up. This shop had a beautiful display that I was very drawn to with their tulip vases. Even modern day blue porcelain looks beautiful to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the vlog. Join us next time when we stay in a Welsh cottage opposite a church built in 1190.